We have a question from Joe. I'm almost 45 years old and weigh around 215 to 220 most of the time. Yeah, me too. In my younger days, I had a PR of a 425 touch and go. I guess I guess it must at a PR deadlift. It must be touch and go deadlift, bench maybe. 2 years ago, I managed a 405 single, no lift off competition pause. The same day, I took 430 just for giggles, no lift, pause, and I got it off the chest, so it is bench press, but only 3 or 4 inches. I've done almost everything you can imagine, but I feel like 400-ish is my genetic limit. My short-term goal is 430 for a lifetime PR with an ultimate goal of 500, but that seems pretty impossible at this point. Do you have any ideas how I can break through the 400-pound barrier? Well, I guess the only thing I'd say is you've already broken through the barrier. This is a much more, Joe, this is a very specific powerlifting question. The biggest question you have to ask yourself at 45 is, why am I doing this? But, you've been around long enough that continuing to just stick with the good old-fashioned progressive resistant exercise is probably not going to do a lot of good for you. I would argue if you could get someone knowledgeable to look at your bench press technique. We know in the bench press that you need extremely strong ab wall. Your lats and your triceps have to be locked down strength wise. So to do that, you're going to have to do some exercises that really so you got that tricep lat bounce that come off. I would suggest you look into things like board training. We used to use cushions, but now I guess people are using boards. But we used to use those bounce pads, and I still think bounce pads have great value for throwers. But so maybe put 2 or 3 boards here, and I think they actually make them now that someone can hold it on there. There's a little handle on it. Go do a couple of weeks of 3 board benches, a couple of weeks 2 board benches, a couple of weeks 1 board bench, and do that overload. But you can't just, I don't think at the numbers you're at, you can just keep sticking at the standard bench, like as a thrower, 2 workouts a week and all the magic happens. You're going to have to do things like board bench presses. You probably should use chains. I know a lot of people push bands. I'm not a big fan of bands. I like them for hip thrusts, but maybe I just don't know how to set them up well enough. But I like chains. I like the ones from Bigger, Faster, Stronger, where the chains also have collars. I think you need to do a lot of work with the chains, a lot of work with boards, and you're going to have to get a community around you a little bit, because a 500-pound bench, I don't know how you could do it as a home trainer. That would be highly dangerous. But that you want to slide over to the powerlifting community. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the Insights, Dave Tate, and the West Side community have Jim Wendler. Obviously, that community, they know what's going on. JT and I were sitting on my back deck not too long ago going all this. Obviously, Louis, the late Louis Simmons, love him or hate him. The guy was a genius in the weight room. And there's not a lot that isn't available online. If you were going to look at the other 2 lifts in addition, I would also recommend the work of Stefan or Stephen Court. But you need to take this seriously. Once you move into this area, which is elite performance, you need to train like an elite lifter, not just like a gym rat like myself. Thanks, Joe.